Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. In this video, I will start with the home fragment and we will design and set up the tab layout and of course the header of this fragment, which is the search bar and these icons. So let's actually get started. And before anything, make sure to download the drawables and the icons that needed for this video, and I will leave you the download link in the description of this video. Now let's go to the home fragment and from there go to the design, and now let's actually start designing the header of this fragment, which is the search bar with these icons. So all of this will be inside a linear layout, which is gonna be horizontal linear layout. So let's create that. Match parent for width and wrap content for height. Gonna have margin start 24 dB, margin top 15 dB, and margin end 15 dB. Orientation, as we said, horizontal. And now the constraints into the end of the parent. Start the same, top the same. Let's also close this and add an ID, which is home header. Now I will go to the split mode so we can see the design, and I will hide the emulator. Okay, then we will have a constraint layout, and the width is wrap, and the width is wrap content, the height as well. Now because we are inside the linear layout scope, we have the weight attribute, and here we can specify the weight of this constraint layout and give it 1. Now we need to add the background, which is the search box background. Make sure to download this from the file that I put in the description. Now close the constraint layout and we will have the rest of the design inside it. We want to have the text view in here, which is gonna be 0 dB for the width, wrap content for the height, add a font family, gonna add padding start 20 dB, padding top 10, and the same from the bottom. We can add a single line attribute to make it true. We can now add the text, which is search now. Now we can add the text color, and for the text color we're going to use this one. And now we want to specify the text size 15 sp, and finally add the constraint. And now we want to add the icon that shows at the end of this search bar. So let's add that below the text view, which is an image view. 20 dB for the width and for the height. Add the margin end of 20 dB and add the source of that image, which is search icon, this one. I also included this icon in the file. Now let's add the constraints. So bottom, or let's start top to the top, bottom with a parent, and start with a parent. This is not a start actually. Let's make it end because we want to show it at the end like this. Okay, now outside of this constraint layout but inside the linear layout, we want to design the icons. So let's do that. Let's actually have an image view. Let's give it 40 dB for the width, and the match parent for the height. We will give it the source, which is IC scan. Background tint, let's actually first add the background, which is icon background. Now we want to change the tint to background tint of we need to add the color, which is G, search, and icons. And now as you can see, it looks big and the background is not visible as we want. So we can add a padding, so we kind of push this image view inside the background. So we can do that by adding a padding, and this padding is 10 dB. As you can see, the image is got compressed inside the background. Now I'm gonna copy this image view, paste it down below, and this time for the source, we're gonna change it to microphone. IC microphone. Okay, that's it. Now one thing we need to do is to add the spacing between these items. So we can add that by a simple view. So as you can see, there's space between the search bar and the first icon, and this is space is 10 dB. As I said, we're gonna do that with a view. So click on here, and after the constraint layout scope, add a view, not this one, and make the width 0 dB, the height make it match parent. So this will make a space in here. Copy this, and we want to add one more space between these two icons, so in here. Now we want to add an ID for this constraint layout so we can handle the click later. So ID, let's add ID search bar, and that's it. Now for the rest of the design, we need to add a tab layout below of this linear layout. So let's do that. In here we're gonna have a tab layout, and let's give it match parent and wrap content. And there are some attributes that we can give to this tab layout. The first one is tab ripple color. It's not suggesting that, so we need to add it manually. So this is from app tab ripple color, and let's add color of white. So this is the bubble effect when we click on the tab item. Now there's another attribute that's called selected text color. Selected text color, and let's actually add tab selected. Here actually tab selected. Now let's add the color of black. There is also the tab mode equals scrollable. So if we have many tabs in the tab layout, we can scroll them. There is one more, which is the tab text appearance. So in here we can just add a style for our text, for the tab text, and for that go to your themes. Where is it? Here, themes. Go, and in here we're gonna add this style. So I will also include this code, this style, in the description. Now let's add this in here. So tab layout text, and now let's actually add the constraints. So top to the bottom of home header, start to the start of the parent, end to the end of the parent. We can also add a margin from the top of 5 dB. Now one more thing for this design is the view pager, which is gonna host. Now one more thing we need to add is the view pager, which works in common with the tab layout to show the selected fragment. So there's two versions of view pager, and the latest one is view pager 2, which is we're gonna use. So here view pager 2, and for the width, let's give it 0 dB, the height as well. Now let's add the constraints. The bottom top constraint is with the tab layout. For that we need to add an ID for the tab layout. Finally bottom with the bottom of parent, and let's give it an ID for this view pager. View pager, let's say home. Okay, that's it for the design. Let's launch the app and see it. So after launching the app, I've got this error and it seems it's from a style. So let's go to our themes and let's take it out of here, put it inside the styles file and change this to color. Now go back to the design and launch the app again. Okay, let's see that, and everything looks good. Now let's go to the home fragment and set up the tab layout with the view pager. So the home fragment in here, let's set up binding first, private, letting it var binding, fragment, home, binding. We're gonna create a view and here we're gonna initialize it. Then we'll return binding.root. Now in the on view created, we first need to get the list of the fragments. So categories fragments equals array list of fragment, and in here we want to just pass the categories fragment. So far we have not created any of those, so let's go ahead in here inside the fragments package, create a new package and call this categories. Create that, and first we need to have the home category, or let's name it let's say main category, which is the first category we have, because that category looks different from the other categories. Let's extend from fragment, and inside the layout file let's create a fragment for that. Create that, and let's add the layout in here. And let me just edit the name. Like that. Now let me show you the app real quick. As you can see, the home fragment, as we said, which is the main fragment now, is different. The design of this fragment is different from the other categories fragment design. As you can see, these fragments have the same design, and that's why we're gonna need to create a base fragment for these other categories. So let's do that. So inside the categories package, create a new one and call this base category fragment, extend from fragment, and let's create layout for this. Let's add it in here. And now, because this class is extendable, we need to add the open keyword in here so we can extend it. Now let's create other fragments we have. So the first one is chair fragment. So in here, chair fragment, and extend from fragment. Or sorry, we don't need to extend it from the base category fragment. And I'm gonna copy this, paste it. Now this time for the cupboard, paste it again for the table fragment, one more time for the accessory fragment, and finally for the furniture fragment. Now you might wondering, why don't I just get them from Firebase to get the categories from Firebase? Well, you can do that, but in this case you can't use TabLayout. You just need to use a typical fragment host and use that fragment transaction and all of this stuff, because if you want to use TabLayout with this, it will get more complicated, and it's actually impossible to do that because I tried a lot with it and it didn't work. So we're just gonna define them statically in the Android Studio. If you want to get them from Firebase, then as I said, you don't need to use TabLayout. You just need to use Recycle View instead of this, and just have a category collection in your Firestore. But that's not what we're gonna do in this playlist, because if I do that, it will get more complicated and it will become harder to understand. So we'll just define our categories inside our project. Now let's get back to the home fragment and let's actually add all of our fragments in this list. So first we need the main fragment. I named it main category, so now I'm just gonna refactor the name. Right click, refactor, rename, main category, let's say fragment. Let's add now the chair fragment, the cupboard fragment, table fragment, finally accessory fragment. We need the furniture fragment too. Now we need to define an adapter for the tab layout, so the tab layout and the view pager can actually communicate. So to do that adapter inside the adapters package, let's create a new class and let's call this home view pager adapter. And in this class we first need to get the fragments list in the constructors. List. We also need the fragment manager, so fm fragment manager. We also need the life cycle, so life cycle, which is life cycle. Now we need to extend from the fragment state adapter class, this one. And in here we first need to pass the fragment manager and the life cycle. Now we are required to override two functions. The first one we just gonna return fragments.size, and in the second one we're gonna return the fragment at this position from the list. So return fragments position. Now let's actually create that adapter instance in the home fragment and set up it with the tab layout. So in here, val view pager 2 adapter equals home view pager adapter. In here we're gonna pass the categories fragment list and the fragment manager, so we can pass the child fragment manager. We need to pass a life cycle. Then we need to assign this adapter to the view pager. So binding.viewPager home.adapter equals to view pager adapter. And finally, we can use TabLayout mediator. Now inside this constructor, we need to pass binding.TabLayout, so our tab layout, and also the view pager. And in here we can get a reference to our tab and our position, like that. Here it gives us an error in here. Let's see why. Required tab layout, found table layout. Oops. Okay, let's go to our design, see what we have done here. We actually used table layout instead of tab layout. This one. Okay, that was my bad. So make sure to edit this. Now as you can see, there is gone. Okay, now we get the reference to our tab and to our position. Now we can use a when block, when position according to this list, when the position is 0, then we wanna show the main category fragment. So tab.text, so we wanna show the tab text, which is this one. So as you can see here, the home fragment, we can actually call it main, not home. So main, and when it's 1, we want to show the chair fragment, so chair text. When it's 2, cupboard. When it's 3, accessory. I'm gonna copy it. And when it's 4, I'm gonna show furniture. One last thing we need to do is to attach this tab layout with the view pager. Okay, now let's run the app. Hopefully everything works. Okay, as you can see, it works. We have main, chair, cupboard, accessory, furniture, but we actually missed the table fragment, so it's actually at index 3. So this will be index 4, 5, and for index 3 we can show table. Let's run the app again, and as you can see, we also can notice this indicator. We're gonna cancel that now. Okay, now to hide this bottom indicator, go to the tab layout, and there's an attribute called tab indicator. As you can see, this one, and in here we're just gonna make it null. So this will hide this indicator, and as you can see, everything works as the original app. Okay guys, so that was all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. In the next video we will finally start with the main fragment. We will design it and then we will start implementing it. Hope you learned something new. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on my Instagram page. The link is in the description of this video. Have a nice day and catch you in the next video.